I never thought something like this would happen to me. I'm not the kind of person who believes in ghosts or spirits. But after what I experienced, I'm not so sure anymore. It all started during my first year of college. I was living in a dorm on campus. The building was old, with creaky floors and narrow hallways. My room was tiny, just enough space for a bed, a desk, and a small closet. I shared the floor with a bunch of other students, but my best friend Emma was on the next floor. We used to hang out a lot, especially when classes were over. One night, Emma came over with a Ouija board she had bought from a thrift store. She said it was just for fun, and she wanted to try it out. At first, I wasn't interested. I told her it was probably just a silly game, but she insisted. I didn't want to be rude, so I agreed. We sat on the floor in my room. The lights were low, just a small lamp by my desk giving off a soft yellow glow. The room smelled like old books and a faint hint of Emma's lavender perfume. It was quiet except for the sound of rain tapping against the window. We placed the Ouija board on the floor between us. It was made of cheap cardboard with letters and numbers printed on it. The planchette was plastic and felt cold to the touch. We both put our fingers lightly on the planchette. Emma asked, "Is anyone here? With us?" At first nothing happened. Then slowly the planchette moved toward yes. I felt a chill run down my spine, but told myself it was just Emma pushing it without realizing. We asked more questions. The answers came slowly, but clearly. The spirit said it was a woman named Lydia. She said she lived in this building. A long time ago. Emma asked why Lydia was still here. The planchette moved to lonely. I laughed nervously. "Okay, Lydia. What do you want?" The planchette moved again. FRIEND. That's when I felt it. Like something was watching me. I looked toward the door. The hallway outside was dark. I thought I saw a shadow move. "Emma, did you see that?" I whispered. She shook her head. "Probably just a trick of the light." We kept asking questions. Lydia said she was trapped here, and she wanted us to help her leave. I wasn't sure if I should believe any of it. But then the room temperature dropped suddenly. I could see my breath. The rain outside got louder, and the thunder rumbled softly in the distance. Suddenly the planchette moved fast and spelled out OURDOOR. I looked at Emma. "Our door?" Just then, the doorknob rattled like someone was trying to open it. But I was alone in the room. At least I thought so. Emma and I stared at the door. It stopped shaking. I held my breath. Then the planchette moved again, spelling LETMEIN. I felt my skin crawl. "Emma, maybe we should stop." But Emma was curious. She asked, "How do we let you in?" The planchette moved slowly to LETIN. I suddenly heard a soft scratching noise from the other side of the door. It sounded like fingernails scraping wood. I stood up and moved toward the door, feeling a cold sweat on my forehead. The scratching got louder. I opened the door a crack. There was no one there. The hallway was empty and silent, except for the sound of the rain. I closed the door quickly and looked at Emma. "This isn't funny anymore." We tried to end the session, moving the planchette to goodbye. It took longer than before, but finally it stopped. I thought that would be the end of it. But that night, things got worse. I was trying to sleep when I heard whispering. It was soft, almost like someone breathing next to my ear. I sat up, looking around. The room was dark except for the faint glow from the streetlight outside the window. Then I heard footsteps outside my door. Slow, careful steps, pacing back and forth. I called Emma, but she didn't answer. I got up and opened my door slowly. Hallway was empty. I checked my closet. Nothing. I felt like something was right behind me. I turned around fast, but no one was there. Over the next few days, I kept hearing whispers and footsteps when no one was around. One night, I woke up to find the Ouija board on my desk, but I was sure I had left it on the floor. It looked worn and scratched, like it had been used by something unseen. I tried to throw it away, but the next morning, it was back on my desk. I started having bad dreams. Dreams of a woman standing in the corner of my room, watching me with empty eyes. Once I woke up and felt a cold hand brush against mine in the dark. I'm serious. It was icy cold, like ice water. I told Emma what was happening, but she stopped answering my calls. The last time I used the Ouija board was when I tried to ask Lydia to leave. The planchette spelled N-O, and then the lights in my room flickered and went out. I still live in that dorm. The whispers never stopped. Sometimes I swear I see a shadow standing outside my door late at night. And when I close my eyes, I still feel that cold hand. I don't know what Lydia wants. I don't know how to make it stop. But I know one thing. Whatever is with me in this room isn't going anywhere. I never believed in Ouija boards. Never thought they were anything more than a dumb game. But a few months ago, I had an experience that still makes me question everything. It happened one Friday night at my friend Mark's house. We were all bored, just a few of us, hanging out after dinner. Mark pulled out an old Ouija board he found at a garage sale. It was wooden, worn, and had that musty smell like something left in a damp attic for years. We laughed and joked about trying to contact ghosts just for fun. I didn't really expect anything to happen. We decided to use it down in his basement. The room was dimly lit by a single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. The air smelled like wet concrete and old paint, and there was a faint buzzing noise coming from the old water heater in the corner. We all sat around the board. Mark put his fingers on the planchette, and so did I, along with two others. The first few questions were silly. Is anyone here? And what's your name? The planchette moved slowly, almost too slow to notice. Then, the answers started, getting more specific. The name it spelled out was Ellen. None of us knew anyone named Ellen. I joked, maybe it's Mark's grandma. He said no. We asked where she was from, and it spelled out basement. The air suddenly got colder. I could see my breath, even though the heater was running. Mark laughed nervously, but I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I told them, let's stop, this is dumb. But Mark insisted on asking one more question. Why are you here? The planchette shot to HELP. That was when I noticed it, the faint sound of breathing. At first, I thought it was one of my friends messing around. But it wasn't. It was soft, slow, and coming from under the stairs. My heart pounded in my chest. I whispered, "Did you guys hear that?" No one answered. We all looked at the dark corner beneath the stairs. The basement light flickered and then went out, plunging us into darkness. I felt a cold, heavy silence settle in. Then something brushed against my hand. I jerked away and saw no one near me. The planchette was still moving, spelling out FREE. I told Mark to turn the light back on. When he flipped the switch, the light buzzed and flickered back on, but the air felt thick, like something unseen was watching us. We quickly ended the session and left the basement, but the feeling didn't leave me. That night, in my bed, I kept hearing faint breathing, slow, steady, like someone was just outside my door. I never went back to Mark's basement, and I never touched a Ouija board again. This happened to me about a year ago, and I still can't shake the feeling that something was wrong that night. I'm not superstitious, but what I experienced in that hotel room was enough to make me question everything. I was traveling alone for work and stayed at a small, old hotel in a quiet town. The kind of place that looks normal during the day, but feels different after dark. The lobby smelled like old wood and cleaning chemicals. The floor creaked under my feet when I walked to my room. The room was on the 3rd floor, number 317. It was small, with beige walls and a cheap carpet that smelled faintly like mildew. The windows faced the back alley, where I could hear faint dripping from pipes. After I unpacked, I decided to relax. I turned on the TV, but the channels were mostly static. The remote felt sticky in my hand. The only furniture besides the bed was a small desk with a lamp that buzzed faintly. Around 9 p.m. I heard a knock on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I looked through the peephole. No one was there. The hallway was empty and quiet, except for the hum of the old air conditioner. I shrugged it off and locked the door again. Later that night, I was scrolling on my phone when I remembered something strange. The previous guests left a Ouija board in the closet. I hadn't noticed it before because I barely opened the closet. Curious, I pulled it out. The board was wooden, with faded letters and numbers, and the planchette was small and chipped at the edges. I thought, why not? I set it on the desk and sat down. The lamp gave off a weak yellow light. I put my fingers lightly on the planchette. I asked, "Is anyone here?" Nothing moved at first. Then the planchette slowly slid to yes. I felt a small chill but told myself it was just the cool night air. The room felt a little colder than before, even though the heater was on. I asked, "What is your name?" The planchette moved, spelling Anna. I asked, "Are you a spirit?" It moved again, yes. My heart started to beat faster. I didn't believe in ghosts, but this was different. "Why are you here?" I asked. The planchette moved slowly. LOST. I felt a lump in my throat. The room suddenly felt heavy, like it was pressing down on me. I asked, "Can you leave?" The planchette moved to NO. I told it, "What do you want?" It spelled HELP. At that moment, I heard a soft tapping coming from the window. Looked up but saw nothing except the dark alley below. The rain had started, and the sound of raindrops hitting the metal fire escape was steady and sharp. I tried to stay calm, but I couldn't stop looking around the room. The lamp flickered again, then I heard a whisper. It was so soft I thought I imagined it at first, but the whisper came again, clearer this time. "Help me." I froze. The lamp went out, plunging the room into darkness. My heart pounded. I reached for my phone, but the screen was black, dead. The planchette started moving on its own, spelling CANNOTLEAVE. I tried to move away from the desk, but my fingers stuck to the planchette like something was holding me. I struggled, and finally pulled my hands back. The lights flickered back on. I sat there shaking, looking at the board. Suddenly I heard footsteps. In the hallway outside my door, slow, heavy steps. The knock came again. 3 soft taps. I got up slowly and looked through the peephole. Nothing. Empty hallway again. I opened the door just a crack. No one was there. The hallway smelled like wet concrete and something metallic, like blood. I shut the door quickly. Back, inside, I noticed the closet door was open. I was sure I closed it. I went over and closed it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw a woman standing in the corner of the room. She had long dark hair, pale skin, and empty eyes that seemed to stare right through me. I kept hearing that soft whisper, "Help me." The next morning, I checked out early. I left the Ouija board on the desk, hoping whoever came next wouldn't mess with it. But I still feel like something followed me home. Sometimes, late at night. I hear faint tapping on my bedroom window. And sometimes, when I look in the mirror, I think I see a shadow behind me. Just for a second. I don't know who Anna was, or what happened to her, but whatever it was, she's still lost. And I'm not sure if she's ever going to leave. This all started one weekend when I was visiting my cousin's house. We hadn't seen each other in a while, so he invited me over for a few days. His family's house was an old one, 2 stories with a basement that smelled like damp wood and mold. The basement was dark and cold, even in the afternoon. On the first night, my cousin Jake brought out an old Ouija board he found in his parents' attic. He said it was from the 70s and thought it would be fun to try it out. I wasn't a big believer in this kind of thing, but I figured, what the hell? It's just a game, right? We went down to the basement to play because it was quiet and the light was low. The only source of light was a single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling, casting long shadows on the walls. Jake set the board on the dusty table. The planchette looked worn, with scratches and faded letters. We both put our fingers lightly on it. "Is anyone down here with us?" Jake asked, his voice echoing a bit in the empty basement. Nothing moved for a long moment. Then, slowly, the planchette slid over to yes. I shivered, but I told myself it was probably Jake moving it, even if he didn't mean to. We asked the spirit's name. The planchette spelled M-A-R-K. "Mark," Jake repeated. "Who was he?" We asked more questions, and Mark said he used to live in this house a long time ago. He said he died in the basement. The air suddenly felt heavier. The smell got stronger, like wet dirt mixed with something rotten. I started to feel uneasy. "Why are you still here?" I asked. The planchette moved to TRAPPED. Jake and I exchanged nervous looks. The basement felt colder now. I could see my breath. Suddenly, I heard a faint scratching noise coming from the far corner of the basement, like nails dragging on wood. I looked, but I couldn't see anything in the dim light. We kept asking questions. Mark said he needed help to leave. "Can we help you?" Jake asked. The planchette moved slowly to YES. Then it spelled FIND. "Find what?" I asked. There was a long pause. Then the planchette moved to KEY. A key? I didn't know what that meant. We decided to end the session by moving the planchette to goodbye. As we were about to pack up, the basement door slammed shut, upstairs with a loud bang. Jake and I jumped. The sound echoed all around us. We ran upstairs to check, but the door was locked from the inside. We knew no one was home except us. Jake found a key ring on the kitchen counter and unlocked the door. After that, things got strange. That night I heard footsteps coming from the basement. Slow, heavy steps pacing back and forth. I tried to ignore it, but the noises wouldn't stop. The scratching returned, louder now. Once, I was walking down the hallway when I smelled that same rotten smell, sharp and awful, coming from under the basement door, I told Jake. But he just laughed nervously and said it was probably the old house settling. One night I woke up to find the basement door wide open. I was sure I had closed it. I looked down the dark stairs, but I couldn't see anything. Then, I felt something brush past me. A cold, wet sensation on my arm, like a hand. I froze. The hairs on my neck stood up. I turned on the light in my room and tried to calm down. The next day, Jake found an old, metal key in the basement corner, half buried under dust and leaves. It looked ancient and rusty. We both looked at each other. "Is this what Mark was talking about?" Jake asked. We didn't know what the key opened, but after that, the strange noises stopped. The basement felt warmer and less heavy. But something else started. At night, I kept hearing whispers, soft, low voices coming from the basement. I told Jake, but he said maybe we just imagined it. One night I went down to check. The basement was dark except for a faint light near the back wall. I saw something shiny on the floor. I picked it up. It was an old photograph, torn and faded. It showed a man standing in the basement with a woman and a child. The man looked angry. I felt sick. When I looked up, I thought I saw a shadow move in the corner. I dropped the photo and ran upstairs. Since then, I've felt watched. Sometimes, I hear breathing when I'm alone. The house feels different, like it's alive. I don't know what happened to Mark, or why he's trapped, but I'm sure he's still there, waiting. And the basement door is never really locked. This happened when I was in high school, during my senior year. My school was old, built in the 1950s, and everyone said it was haunted. I never believed those stories. I thought people just liked to scare each other. But after what I experienced, I don't laugh at those stories anymore. It started on a rainy Friday afternoon. Me and two of my friends, Mia and Tyler, stayed after school for a group project. We were supposed to meet in the library, but our teacher left early, and we had nowhere else quiet to work. So we ended up in the old basement level of the school, near the storage rooms and janitor's office. That floor was always creepy. The lights buzzed and flickered, the walls were stained, and the air smelled like wet cement and mold. But it was empty and quiet, perfect for working. After a while we got bored. Mia suddenly pulled a Ouija board out of her backpack and grinned. "Let's try it," she said. "It'll be fun." I rolled my eyes. "You carry that thing around?" She shrugged. "Always, just in case." Tyler was more excited. "Come on, it'll kill time." I didn't want to be the lame one, so I agreed. We set the board on the floor near the back hallway, right in front of the old bathroom no one used anymore. It had been closed for years, and the door was always locked. People said something bad happened in there, but no one really knew what. We sat in a circle and placed our fingers on the planchette. "Is anyone here with us?" Mia asked. Nothing happened. We waited, quiet except for the sound of rain tapping the windows above us. Then, slowly, the planchette moved to yes. Tyler smiled, thinking it was a joke. "Okay, who's moving it?" Mia looked serious. "Not me." We asked, "What's your name?" The planchette spelled EVA. "Eva," I said quietly. "Were you a student here?" Mia asked. The planchette moved to yes. "What happened to you?" Tyler asked. There was a pause. Then it spelled DIEDINBATHROOM. We all went silent. The hallway behind us suddenly felt colder. I heard a light dripping sound, like a faucet leaking in the locked bathroom. We stared at the door. Still shut, still dusty. "Did someone hurt you?" I asked. The planchette moved again. THEM. "Who's them?" Tyler asked. The board didn't answer. It just slowly moved the planchette to goodbye. Then the lights above us flickered and buzzed louder than before. We packed up quickly. Mia tried to laugh it off, but I could see her hands were shaking. I didn't say anything, but I felt uneasy, like someone was standing right behind me. The next day at school, things felt different. When I passed by the basement stairs, I thought I heard someone whispering my name. When I turned, no one was there. Later, in the bathroom upstairs, the lights flickered just like they did during the Ouija session, and the sink turned on by itself. At first I thought maybe I was just thinking too much about the night before. Maybe I was just spooked, but then it got worse. Tyler started getting nosebleeds at school, always when he walked past the basement. Mia kept saying she was hearing footsteps in the hall when no one was there. One morning I found a name scratched into my locker door. Eva, in all caps, carved deep into the metal. I never told anyone. We decided not to mess with the board again. But a week later, Mia said she couldn't take it anymore. She said she felt like someone was watching her at night. Her bedroom door would open by itself. She'd hear crying in her closet. "I think we opened something," she whispered. "Something that won't leave." We all agreed to return to the basement and try to fix it. Maybe say goodbye properly. Maybe burn the board. It was a Saturday, and the school was empty. We snuck in through a back door Tyler knew how to unlock. We went back to the same spot, right in front of the locked bathroom door. The hallway was even darker than before. It smelled like rust and something worse. Like a dead animal had been left in the walls. Mia placed the board on the floor. This time, we didn't even touch the planchette. It started moving on its own. Fast, like someone angry. It spelled WHYDIDYOULEAVE. Tyler backed away. "This is messed up. Let's just go." Then we heard it. From inside the locked bathroom door, we heard crying, a girl's voice, soft, broken. Then came the knock, slow, heavy, and right on the other side of the door. Knock, knock, knock. We froze. The crying stopped, and then the doorknob started turning. We ran. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what might come out of that room. We never went back down there again. The school never said anything. The door to the basement bathroom is still locked to this day. But sometimes when I walk by, I hear it again. The soft crying. The sound of the doorknob rattling, and carved into the wall just beside the door. Someone added 3 words I swear weren't there before. She never left.